Hey YouTube gun people, I wanted to do a complete strip and breakdown of the Seecamp LWS 32. It's a 32 caliber pocket pistol. Here it is in a matte Delfatti sharkskin holster. It's gorgeous. It's in your, for me, right front pocket. You can easily draw this firearm, and it's been checked off camera. We'll check it again, and you can use it to defend yourself. So let's go through and check it real quick. There is a magazine disconnect in here, so you need the magazine to actually operate the slide, but I will show you that the magazine is in fact empty. I reinsert the magazine and I can rack the firearm. There's nothing in the chamber. Point in safe direction, pull the trigger. Everybody, weapon is safe. The first thing you have to do is take off the slide. The way you do this, you have to get a 1/32 punch. I'm using just an Allen wrench, and there's a hole right here. Okay, you need to pull back the slide enough so that the hole lines up with a plunger back here. Press it down, and the slide will pop up, and you can push it forward and off. Right. The way that can be accomplished is you take a spent round, so this is just an empty 32 caliber casing. I'll rack back the slide, and I just stick like so, and I just stick my casing in there, right up against the chamber. Okay, it's a fixed barrel. Now you'll be able to see in this hole the plunger. I'm not sure you can be able to see it on the camera, but you'll be able to see it line up in that hole. All right, right there. We're going to stick the punch in there, push down, and then up just a little bit, and the slide pops up. You can see it's loose, right? Right here. All we do is push the slide up and forward. Sorry, take out that spent round, up, forward, and it's easy as that. We can set it aside, right? Let me just pan out here. Pan out. Set your slide aside. There's a nested recoil spring here. That needs to come out. You can see the spring, there's actually a nested part. That needs to go in, so it goes in. The nested part goes inside. All right, set that aside. All right, so we got the slide off. We leave the magazine in there for the next part as well. Okay, what we next have to do is take the grip off. The grips off. So you're going to take off the left grip first, right? And we just get a screwdriver that fits the slot. It's just a regular standard screwdriver. Unscrew it. Take out the screw, set it aside, and we can take off the grips. The bottom one, the right grip came out, and the left grip is going to come out as soon as I get my fingernail underneath there. And there's your grips. Set them aside. Okay? Good. Now what you'll see right away is a side plate. I want to just point out a couple things to you really quickly. This is how your side plate will sit. Okay, this is what it'll be looking like. And you'll see your spring here. Okay, let's come in a little bit tighter. The spring should be jutting out a little bit. The grip holds it down. Okay, so be careful. If you just take your finger off that slide plate, you can just pick it up, and that spring will come up more. Right? You can then remove the spring, which is attached to the trigger bar and to the magazine disconnect. Right? There's your spring. It should be bent like this. Yeah? Just take it off. Right? Take out your trigger bar, this piece right here, trigger bar, and you can now remove your magazine. Okay, we can take out the magazine disconnect right here, this thing. Take it out, set it aside. we could take out the trigger. Trigger should have a little bit of lateral play in it. Is okay. Okay, that goes aside. Now with a punch, you can take out the magazine catch, and you can take out the trigger as well. All right. And these pins that hold in the magazine catch and spring and mainspring, as well as the pin that holds your trigger assembly, your hammer assembly in place, actually should be jutting out an equal amount on both sides, because actually your grips sit on those and they're retained in place by them. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll zoom out a little bit here. So we just push this through, take it out. It's a little bit easier if you keep a little bit of tension on it. Just push down on it while you're doing that. Careful to pop right out. Goes like so. There's your pin. Take out the mainspring. Yeah. And then this pin here that holds in your hammer is very easily will come out. And there's your hammer assembly with the strut. Okay. Now, let's just wipe this off real quick. Oh, and then this piece just goes in the top of your spring like so. Okay? So, I forget the name of that one. Anyway, that's the way it goes. So now there you go. You're fully disassembled. You got all your parts. Let's put it back together. Just do it in the reverse order. So your hammer is going to go back in place. And here's the strut, right? Right. So the way this fits in there, it's very. It can only fit in there one way, right? We put it in, line up the hole, stick our pin in there. We want to get the pin, like I said, equal on both sides. We then just line up. If you put your spring in manually, you'll see it start to come up here. Right here, see that? Make sure the strut goes into the cup. Okay? Now all you're going to do at that point is then force the spring into the mainspring housing right here with your magazine release. Push it in. It's pretty straightforward. Look for. It goes in. By the way, it goes in this orientation where the hook is to the front of the firearm. Just push it up here, and then you can see you'll be able to line up the holes visually. Stick your pin in there, and you shouldn't have to hammer it. It should just go in there. Don't hammer it. It should just fit in there. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, when you take this apart to clean it, these small semi-autos, these Seecamps in particular, fit really tight. There's not a lot of room because you're trying to make them as small as possible. I mean, this is very concealable, right? You have to use a dry lubricant like Ezox. So if you want to clean this down, spray the whole firearm with Ezox, spray inside the barrel, swab it out really good, clean it all off. Then what you do is put a very light coat of this Ezox. You can treat the firearm with it. Very light coat. Okay. Then what you're going to essentially do is let that sit for several hours. Wipe off the excess, and you're treated. Okay. That's what I use for lubricant. Let's put the rest of the firearm back together. We'll stick back our our trigger. Goes right in there. This is a trigger with a safety mechanism on it. This is the orientation of the safety. The left side of the trigger, the safety should look like that. It's just retained in there with a spring and here's the right side. So this is a California or Massachusetts edition gun. We put our magazine disconnect. It can only go in one way. It's got to sit in this hole right here. You see that hole? This one sits right in there. Can only go in one way, and that is like so. Right? There we go. Everybody's happy so far. Bring the trigger forward. All right. Now we're going to put back. By the way, just give your hammer a visual check. Make sure it's working okay. Function check. I like to put the magazine back in at this point. It helps me. It helps prevent me from bending the spring. All right. First, we put our trigger bar. We can put the spring into this hole in the trigger bar. Right. We'll do it like this. I hope you can see this. What I'm doing. Get the trigger bar in place. Hold it down with your finger. Put your spring on the post right here. See that post? Let me see. This is actually key. It's got to go on this post here. Right? So if you put it in like this, without me blocking the camera, you see how this is going in? You just bring it down and then put the other end in the trigger bar there. Keep your fingers on it like so. Alright, make sure it doesn't pop off the trigger. Then put your side plate back on. Your side plate goes on like so. Alright, sorry, my memory card got full. So put on your side plate. Here it is, right? Side plate, there's 3 holes in it. It can only go on one way. It's just a cover, really. Goes like so. You line up this hole here, and then these 2 holes. Now I want to say that the front post here, this one, the frontmost post has a notch in it that helps retain the side plate. So make sure you're in that notch. Okay? Just hold it down and put your grips back on. So let me zoom out to do this. And what the grip will do is actually hold the spring down as well. Yeah? Alright. So just line up your grip. Lines up quite nicely. Line up your other grip. The grips have holes in them to line up with these posts, those pins I was talking about that you remove like that. Okay. Put the screw back in. The screw is just retained by the other side. There's the nut for the screw. Just put it in there. You don't go farmer tight here. Just snug it up, but you don't torque the hell out of it. You'll break the grips. That's that. Let's do a little bit of lubrication on this pistol. I was talking about the easiest way to do this for me is to take some Ezox, spray it on the end of, saturate the end of a Q-tip with it. All right. And what we're going to do is basically take the Ezox and go everywhere where metal meets metal. It's pretty straightforward. Everywhere metal meets metal. Right? We'll get into the spring retaining area. I also want to point out to you, these are delayed blowback pistols, which basically means that there's a notch in the chamber. There's a notch in the chamber that when this gun's fired, for the action to work correctly, that case expands into that chamber a little bit. It's really crucial to keep that chamber lubricated, or that first round could get stuck in the chamber. You don't want that. Okay. A little bit of Ezox on a Q-tip will take care of that. Wipe off the excess with another clean Q-tip. Both sides. You get what I'm doing here, right? Put your spring back in. There's your spring. Again, the nested side goes towards goes in. And now you just need to line up your slide. So this is what the face of the slide should look like when it's lined up, right? Line it up like so. Push it with your thumb and start bringing it back. You're going to have a magazine an empty magazine in the firearm, so you can manipulate the trigger back, pull back the slide. Yeah, it'll clear, and push it down, and it'll catch that notch, right? And there we go. Okay. Let's do a function test real quick, right? You can dry fire these pistols, it's not a problem. And that's it. There's a nice brand new shiny, not brand new, but nice and shiny Seecamp LWS 32. Works like a charm. I can check this manual safety. If I push it in from the left, the gun won't fire. If I push it in from the right, the gun will fire. Personally, I just take the safety off, and I never worried about it again. You could remove them and replace the trigger, I suppose, if you wanted to. Let's just go ahead and just for austerity's sake, we'll just wet a patch with some Ezox. We'll go over the outside of it and take out our magazine. And my hands are slippery from the Ezox. Take out our magazine. If you bring it down this far, you'll be able to work the firearm. If you take it out completely, the disconnect will prevent you from pulling the trigger. Don't try to pull the trigger. You'll bend the trigger, the spring. Okay. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now you can take your firearm and get it prepared for carry as you wish. Thanks.